The October 2025 US shutdown is unusually severe. Democrats want to reverse Medicaid cuts and restore healthcare subsidies, while Republicans demand a clean funding bill. Trump's earlier big beautiful bill boosted defense and tax breaks by slashing federal programs, which Democrats now aim to undo.
We are very serious about the issue of improving the quality of life of the American people, about canceling the cuts, lowering the costs, and saving health care. Very serious about it. And we've made that clear from the beginning.
About 900,000 federal workers are furloughed, 700,000 unpaid, the largest disruption since 2018-19. Defense and Homeland Security are funded. Agencies like CDC, NIH, and WIC face major cuts. A White House memo urges permanent layoffs, breaking precedent. The shutdown is being used to shrink the federal workforce in line with broader efficiency goals.
We are going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues. We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run.
And then, of course, the Office of Management and Budget is continuing to work with agencies on who, unfortunately, is going to have to be laid off if this shutdown continues.
This is the first shutdown since 2018-19, driven by deep ideological divides. Unlike past standoffs, there's no clear path forward. Key economic data delays are affecting market sentiment. Republicans demand the budget be passed before talks, while Democrats want healthcare concessions before accepting it. Speaker Mike Johnson said there's nothing to negotiate.
People are starting to recognize this is not a Republican shutdown. It is a Schumer Democrat shutdown. Again, why? Because they needed political cover. It's shameless, it is sad, real people are hurting, and it needs to end.
The differences center on core issues: healthcare, jobs, climate, not just budget numbers. With multiple entrenched disputes, this shutdown is harder to end. President Trump is using a carrot and stick approach, warning of federal cuts and project cancellations if the shutdown drags on, while dangling the possibility of rebate checks from tariff revenues to soften the blow. The Economic Brief, DD India.
Well, Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi continues to be with us. Professor Joshi, so is this shutdown a way of actually downsizing the U.S. Department, something that, DOGE had suggested when it was active under Elon Musk?
I think, it's a worrisome state of affair for the United States. And as you are aware that, the kind of the political, the crisis which has evolved is, in the first quarter of 2025, the US GDP growth has slowed down to 1.6% annualized. Unemployment is already 4-year high, which is 4.3%, and grocery inflation is probably the highest in the last 3 years due to the tariffs. And under this situation, if you see that the shutdown puts a threat of the permanent layoff to over 300,000 federal jobs rather than the temporary furlongs which have been common in US. And if you see that it is going to have the loss, it is going to be a week's time, it is only $15 billion US, but if in more than 3 weeks, then it could have a loss of $45 billion per month, or the US can go into the recession. So risk is really great. Customer spending are already down by 1 to 2%, 5% drop in the holidays, and market volatility is already there. US already is facing the political volatility, and most countries, and please understand that it is not the policies, but it is the instability in the economy, instability in the policy making, and instability in the tax environment, which is creating a trouble. But now all this economic trouble is also translating into a big political stiff and standoff in the United States of America. And I'm sure it is going to have, the impact on the economy. But I think it is going to be wait and watch that how long this, shutdown remains. And especially, the stiff on the tiff on political reasons is, I think, very, very worrisome.
True.
Not only for United States, but those who are supplying in America, investors, foreign investors, and even American firms investing abroad. At the same time, it is extremely worrisome for the people of United States, because because of the layoffs which the America is facing, and 700, almost 700, 800,000 employers
But
are
Professor
already impacted.
Joshi, I mean, if I
Please.
can come in here, I mean,
Please.
you did say that it's already affecting the U.S. economy.
Absolutely
But the point is that the U.S. economy, I mean, at least they believe in free market and more private sector driven, policies, rather than they don't really want too much government. So in this case, I mean, is this a sign that, the private sector can come to the party in a sense?
No, that's very right. That's very right. So I think it because US believes in private sector, so it will further downsize the impact of the the US governance, and the private sector will become more and more dominant in the economy. That is right. But even the people in the US are skeptical, and because there are certain things which are already in the US, there are things like defense and many other activities, taxation and all that, which cannot be outsourced to the private. Research, especially if you look into the research fundings, have reduced. So I think things are to be worrisome, and there is a big this political stiff wherein 2 days before the president has already issued very tough warning to the governor of some of the states. So so economic situation is going to be very, very turbulent. So I think the situation is wait and watch. And in this, if you look into India, we have provided a very stable government. India has provided a very stable economic policy and a very stable environment for the investors to work, for the domestic companies to work. And I think in our time to come, you are seeing that the UK Prime Minister is visiting, and everybody, if you see those the interactions with those the business people and the corporates from UK, they are very, very optimistic in India.
True.
And it will improve the
stable
boost the
policy
importance of
environment is
India.
what India has, is what you're
Very
saying.
right.
We leave it there. Thank you very much, Professor Rakesh Mohan Joshi. Thank you for joining us and helping us understand these two stories in greater detail.